What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, flu test, or a test for some other virus, I hope you have tested negative. If you did test positive for COVID or any of the viruses this weekend, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Sunday edition of the Virus Update for Sunday, April 6th, 2025. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is where I do the daily virus update on all those viruses that can make us sick. Let's face it, there's a lot of viruses out there, and you need to know what's going on with each and every one of them because each and every day things are happening. Cases are occurring. Viruses are rising, some are dropping, new things are occurring. Hey, measles, that's a virus from the past that once again has come back, and we do have some news on measles today. So you want to stay informed with all these viruses, just subscribe down below. If you like my video, give it a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, and share this video with anyone you know. Alright, it is a Sunday, which means we are going to get through the news first, then do a little bit of the daily data, and then spend a good portion of this video on wastewater. That is what we do here on my channel. On Sundays, we take a look at wastewater. We can see various different viruses in wastewater, and we are definitely going to take a good look and a tour of the United States today. All right, starting off with measles. We do have some not so good news, and the fact we're getting this on a Sunday makes things even worse. A second child has died from measles in Texas, West Texas. This is near Lubbock, and we don't know what particular day this person died, but the story came out today. It came out that there is a death of measles in West Texas, and yeah, this is not good. This outbreak just continues to get worse, and what we do know is the child who died of measles was not vaccinated. So this is another case of someone not being vaccinated. Also, Kansas measles cases rises once again as they do add another case of measles. So, yes, Kansas is now reporting more cases. And in this case, the adult resident over the age of 50 had recently traveled out of state, though officials have not yet determined if the case is connected to any known measles outbreak in the United States. All right, just going to read a headline here. You know how sometimes they do numbers when it comes to big major cities, like how many hours are wasted in traffic and different things like that. Like here in Philadelphia, we have some horrible numbers when it comes to how many hours are just wasted sitting in traffic. Philadelphia being where I live. Well, get this. They can do similar things for sick days, and they did that in the UK. 6 million during pandemic. 16 million working days lost due to respiratory illness in 2022 in the UK. Let me repeat that. 16 million working days lost in UK due to respiratory illness in 2022. That's a horrible number. That's a lot of people out sick, and that's a lot of time out sick. And the number has risen by 10 million, with what used to be 6 million in 2020. What happened in 2020? A virus named COVID came around and made people sick. Some now have long COVID. Yeah, so the number of sick days do add up. Yeah, that's not good whatsoever. All right, Missouri state representatives aiming to raise awareness of tick-borne illness. This is actually some good news. There is a bill that could get passed in Missouri that would require local health departments to report cases of Lyme disease and alpha-gal syndrome to the Missouri Department of Health and Humane Services. The bill was introduced by a representative, Matthew Overcast, of District 155. So if this would pass, they would be required to report these issues. And it sounds like his 11-year-old daughter was dealing with Lyme disease. So, yeah, this is interesting that something's going to pass there. Even more interesting, we actually have a news story from Missouri. I know I have people that watch from Missouri. I wish we had more data and information for your state. I really do. All right, moving on now to the first part of Wastewater Sunday, and that is Wastewater Scan's weekly update. And I was saving this because why not? Now is the time to share this when we do all of our wastewater checks today. And first off, starting with respiratory weekly update. Influenza A, Influenza B, and RSV are in high category nationwide. SARS-CoV-2 is in the medium category. Other respiratory viruses, HMPV and EV-D68, remain in the low wastewater category nationwide and not in seasonal onset. COVID-19 nationwide, SARS-CoV-2 is in the medium category with median concentrations, and get this, a downward trend over the last 3 weeks, though I've been watching, and it's shown on this chart here, the Northeast has had a little bit of a rise. COVID-19 variants in sequencing data, wastewater scan sites, KP.1 is still 48.4% of the variance when it comes to wastewater. And I honestly don't know why they have not decided to include the LP.8.1 variant just yet. Maybe eventually they will. Influenza nationally, flu A is in the high category with high concentrations and a downward trend over the last 3 weeks. Flu B is in seasonal onset and in the high category nationally with high concentrations and an upward trend still for flu B. H5 influenza marker H5 has been detected in 25 states since monitoring began. 6 in the West, 7 in the Midwest, 6 in the South, and 6 in the Northeast. All right, RSV is in the high category nationally with high concentrations with a downward trend over the last 3 weeks. HMPV is in the low category but is in onset in the high category in most regions, Midwest, West, and Northeast. Norovirus is in the high category nationally with all concentrations and a downward trend over the last 3 weeks. All regions except the West remain in the high category. All right, taking a look over on my website, nothing much really that I want to share here today. I have to update the measles thread with that new death. U.S. sports illnesses, we talked about this yesterday. Yeah, there's been a big increase. I spent some of yesterday evening updating this once again. I also finally got to one of the Saturday Night Live COVID positives. There's more to be added. Yeah, I've been doing a little tweaking on the archives this week. I hope to want to get back into that because there's a lot that needs to be done there. That is a project that will probably never fully get completed. But hey, you want to view anything on my website, datareport.info. It is most important, and this is the thing I'm probably most proud of that I do on my website, is that I have a archive of studies in relation to COVID, and I have made the start for studies in relation to flu. That's very important. If you're going to be talking to your doctor about an issue that you're having post-COVID and you want to look up a study, good place to do that is on my website. Of course, there's a whole bunch of other sites you can go to. There's a lot of ways that you can find out that information. It's very important information because there are so many people out there being dismissed by healthcare providers saying, oh, well, that couldn't really be caused by COVID. Wait, if you back yourself up with enough studies and say, hey, take a look at this study, take a look at these studies, guess what? They may actually say, that's a credible source. Yeah, basically what I do on my site is I put the links to the studies. You click on the links, it takes you to the reputable source, and you read and learn about the stuff. It's very important. All right, Texas total measles cases at this point are at 481. CDC is at 607. All right, moving on. Taking a look at bird migration. We're just going to quickly look at this today. Yes, birds are continuing to migrate in the U.S. Maybe a little less in the east today because it's raining. Although, no, I'm wrong. I'm refreshing this for the first time that you're seeing it as well. So it's the first time I've looked at this today. And yes, there is some migration. Taking a look at what's going on with air qualities. And there are a few spots, but we do have a front moving through in the east. And with that front, it's clearing the air. Take a look at this. The east is doing really well today. The west coast, on the other hand, we're seeing a few bad air qualities in Washington, Oregon, and California. And we'll take a look at these states in just a little bit for wastewater. I'm going to skip over to pollen levels today. Not terribly concerned about that with a front moving through the east. Yeah, there are some bad tree pollen levels in the southeast. And I got to say this. I noticed my vehicle this morning when I went out was yellow, meaning pollen is starting to accumulate on vehicles and on the surfaces a little bit further to the north. So that rain that's coming here tonight will be a welcome to cleanse the atmosphere. Pinellas County, Florida. Yes, there are some problems going on right now with EMS calls, diabetic problem, heart problem, breathing problem, unknown problems. Yeah, just a whole bunch of things. Strokes showing up. So yes, there are definitely some calls there right now. Philadelphia on Friday had 813 EMS incidents. I'm waiting to see Saturday's update. Let's see, did it come out? No, it did not. So hopefully we'll be able to share that tomorrow. Taking a look at what's going on in Montgomery County right now. Not a lot of calls, but you do see an upward doubling. I was in that area this morning. Cardiac arrest is showing up, so that's not a good call. Cardiac arrest showing up in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, in Chester County. That's not a good thing. Let's take a look at the hospital situation. And this is the best this map has looked in a long time. Not many hospital issues whatsoever in Pennsylvania. You know what? It just updated. It was doing better earlier. All right, a few more have popped up now. Emergency department is overcrowding in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, WellSpan Hospital. Emergency department divert due to multiple holds in emergency department. Limited inpatient beds and emergency department. Ooh, that does not sound good. Lehigh Valley has 3 hospitals now. They had none earlier, I think. A couple to the northwest of there, just one in southeast Pennsylvania. All right, still, overall, this is much better than what we're seeing back in the wintertime. All right, Pennsylvania in wastewater. And the COVID level is very low at this time. There are a few wastewater sites, though, in Pennsylvania that are rising. Let me put myself in the center for a second. Take a look here at what's going on in Westchester, Pennsylvania. You can see there is a rise there, and there's another wastewater site there in Westchester, and I want you to take note of this as well. You can see here that that one is rising too, but mind you, this has not updated since back in March, so it needs to update. Taking a look at COVID variants, LP 8.1 does lead the way in Pennsylvania. Flu levels, they've gone up a little bit in wastewater, but it's not showing up in cases. Neither is this small increase in RSV. In New Jersey, taking a look at what's going on there, and we do have a psychiatric issue in Cooper University Hospital. And hey, that's the only hospital with an issue in New Jersey today. All right, New Jersey levels this week, for the most part, are doing fine, and I don't think we need to read this all. COVID and flu is decreasing. However, we do want to read this right here. The predominant COVID-19 variants are LP 8.1 and XEC subvariants of Omicron, covered by the 2024-2025 COVID vaccine. And the current predominant influenza type is flu B. So flu B is still an issue, and if we go back a little bit, it does say flu B is still increasing in New Jersey at this time. All right, taking a look at what's going on in New York State, and we do see in the oranges here, those are higher levels of influenza, higher levels of COVID at this time. We're not talking about influenza in New York State. We're talking about COVID. And we can see Long Island. There are some higher levels still showing up there. New York City, the sites did not update, but we do know New York City, and I can show it to you right here. I am going to do just that. New York City, when it comes to the hospital situation, they're still elevated. New York State as a whole, you can see here, still elevated. If a new wave was to start right now, it would be starting off at a higher baseline than the winter wave started off at, and a higher baseline than the summer wave started off last year. We hope that there's some sort of a drop before the next long-term wave. What do I mean by long-term wave? Look at last summer. Last summer had a wave that went from, we'll say, started in May, went straight through to September, then it started dropping. And right now, we still have not seen a significant drop from the winter wave just yet. And remember, last year, end of May was when they started rising for the summer. So we have to pay attention to this. And taking a look at New York City hospitalization, take a look at this. Yeah, we can tell just by hospitalizations, wastewater, if it was being reported there, likely would be elevated at this point because these hospitalizations still have not peaked from the beginning of this year. I mean, they tried to, but then they just went right back up again. So hopefully in the coming weeks we can see some sort of a drop before another wave comes in New York State. And technically, this is, you could call this a wave in New York City. It's been going on for some time. Wastewater in Chicago, that's our next stop. Wastewater in Chicago is dropping at this time. Now, if you've been paying attention, you know last week we stopped at Ohio first. We have to skip over Ohio, at least for their dashboard. That grayness that they show on the map, that confuses people. And I don't know, is Ohio's dashboard going to be updated anymore? We'll take a look at them on Wastewater Scan and CDC in just a little bit. Taking a look at what's going on in Colorado Of course, it's got to refresh on us right when we get to the site, but we can see here there is a little bit of red on the site. And anywhere in red, those represent some areas that may be increasing at this time. And there are 7 wastewater sites increasing for COVID. 13 wastewater sites with influenza detected. RSV is detected at 20 sites. 0 sites, this is a good thing, 0 sites are detecting Mpox at this time. Making our way a little further northwest, we do see that there are still some elevated levels of, COVID still showing up in Washington state at this time. How about influenza? Yeah, influenza, they do that a little bit different there. There are still some levels of influenza being detected. And how about RSV? I wish the map would have just been the same. I wish they would just show the map like they show for everything else there. Can I zoom this out? No, I can't zoom this out. You get the idea here. There's still some elevated levels for COVID. Influenza and RSV are likely dropping there. We'll take a look at that on the CDC page in just a moment. All right, moving on now to LA. And we can see in LA, this orange line is 2024-2025 season. And the levels when it comes to COVID at this time are actually not doing bad. They're actually dropping at this time. Influenza A continues to drop. Influenza B is still relatively high, but it is coming down at this point. And RSV and wastewater is dropping at this point. Alrighty, folks, let's take that pause. Let's have that hydration break. Let's drink some water, shall we? That was refreshing, wasn't it? Very important that you keep yourself hydrated. I don't want to see anyone have to go to the hospital for dehydration. All right, moving on to our next state now, and that is Oklahoma. We can see COVID is stable at this time, influenza is decreasing, and RSV is stable at this time. We're not going to go any further into their dashboard today. Houston, let's refresh this, shall we? Just to make sure that it is up to date. And, well, they haven't updated since the 24th. And on the 24th for COVID and wastewater, majority of the places were flat. There were some places that were dropping on the north side of town at that time. All right, taking a look at what's going on in Florida, and I believe this is Orange County, Florida. You know, spring break, Disney, yeah, Orlando, Florida. We can see here in that South Orange County, which I believe would include Disney. Take a look at this. COVID-19. Yeah, it is rapidly rising there. And that you would have to think is from spring break. Norovirus for the most part. Yeah, that's rising at this time as well. Real quickly, yeah, that was as of March 30th for COVID. And norovirus for the most part is rising with exceptions to the northwest region. That has dropped a little bit at this time. Now taking a look at what's going on in South Carolina, and we see COVID, flu, RSV have dropped at this time. All right, now taking a look at wastewater scan. And how about we go over to Ohio, since we couldn't do anything from their dashboard. I don't even know if the data was up to date. Akron, Ohio is in the medium category for COVID and dropping at this time. RSV is still listed high. A little bit of a rise for that at this time. Influenza A is high but dropping. Influenza B is rising at this wastewater facility, as is HMPV. EVD68 is low. Norovirus is high and dropping at this time. And everything else is not really much of an issue at this time. And if you're wondering why we didn't do the different regions, that's because we kind of covered that with the tweet that they put out today. All right, we're going to do one more wastewater site here, and let's go to Salt Lake City, Utah. Then we're going to go over to the CDC, and that's where we're going to call it a day. Taking a look at central Salt Lake, Utah, you can see here COVID is medium, and yeah, that level's gone up a little bit. RSV is high, and most recent updates, a little bit of an increase for that. Influenza A is high and holding steady. Influenza B is high but rising at this time. HMPV, I hope it starts dropping again soon. And hepatitis A, some detections of that at this time. Norovirus is medium but dropping at this time. All right, when we take a look at the regional levels for COVID from the CDC, yeah, you can see some of them are rising. The national level is dropping. The Midwest region, a little bit of an increase. Is that an increase? Let's see here. Midwest. Yeah, that value, actually, it just dropped ever so slightly. The South at this time went up a little bit. The Northeast is dropping, and the West. Looks like the West did see a slight increase at this time. And believe it or not, if we went back to wastewater scan, you know, I should show this, shouldn't I? The West. I have to show you wastewater scan there. Yeah, now disregard that big upward movement at the end. But if you take that away, the West is starting to rise a little bit for COVID. We'll have to keep an eye on that because it's been a while since the West Coast has had a big wave. All right, let's come down here, take a look at influenza A in wastewater. And we can see national level for that is dropping at this time. RSV in wastewater, that is dropping. Now going back to COVID, and we want to take a look at Washington and see what's going on there for a second. And let's take a look there. When we take a look at the CDC wastewater page there, we do see Washington is low at this time. And since you saw Alabama, I will show you what is going on in Alabama. And we can see Alabama at this time. Moderate levels when it comes to COVID. And as promised, let's take a look at influenza A and see what that's going on in Washington. And we can see here, let's see, here's Washington. We can see levels are low there. There are still a couple of high wastewater sites. And let's check their RSV level as well, shall we, to see what's going on there. And Washington's RSV level, well, Alabama is very low at this time. That's good to report. We can see Washington RSV level, yes, that still remains very low. Now let's take a look at that other CDC site, shall we? And we can see nationally, COVID is still low. And taking a look at the map here, blues represent low levels of COVID, and oranges and red represent high levels of COVID, orange being moderate to high. And we can see South Carolina and North Carolina still dealing with some problems there. And we can see on this map, it does show New York City, and there are still some problems in that area. Also, North Jersey as well is still problematic. And I want to go back to wastewater scan for just a second because I forgot to show you something. I believe it is Newark, New Jersey. Yeah, take a look at this. Newark, New Jersey is seeing a little bit of an increase for COVID at this time. RSV also going back up. Influenza A is still high. Influenza B, a little bit of an increase. Overall, it has increased this season. Wonky movement at the end. HMPV overall, yeah, it's still listed at high. EVD6A is low. Norovirus is high, but dropping. Hepatitis A, some detections of that there. Now going back to the CDC page where we are going to end it for today, we can see here a lot of blues still showing up on the West Coast, which means that's good news. That means levels are low. You can see some high levels in portions of eastern Michigan near Detroit. That is relatively concerning. The rest of the state is doing well. Chicago's doing okay. And really, there's a lot of areas right now that are not doing bad. Alrighty, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's update. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below. Hit that notification bell. Share this video with anyone you know. Leave your comments down below. I will see everyone again tomorrow where we will have new data and news. Until I see everyone again tomorrow, stay safe, everyone, and have a fantastic Sunday afternoon. Thanks for watching.